So in the last class, what we covered is we have gone through the client server architecture. Okay, I explained you about client server architecture and also components in SQL server that we have seen, and how the SQL commands are categorized, how many types are there, and what are those types here. I mentioned everything. These we will see one by one later. Okay, when we start SQL, then we will see everything one by one. Okay, DDL commands, DML commands, DQL, TCL, DCL commands, SQL commands, all these things we will see later. Okay, now the next part is how to install SQL Server 2022. How to install SQL Server 2022. Now see here. This is the document. I will share with you this later. It's not a big task. It is very easy to install. Okay. See here. If you type download SQL Server in Google, you will get this link, Microsoft SQL Server downloads link. You open it. Just open this one. Once you open it, it shows you here SQL Server 2022 on premises, SQL Server on Azure, SQL Server 2022 developer version and express version. Okay, you need to download this SQL Server 2022 developer version. You see, you click on download now. Okay, so once it is downloaded, you click on it. Okay, 1 second, it will start. But I have already developer version in my system. I will just show you how to install it. Select basic and click on accept, install. Okay, it will take some time, but meanwhile in this wizards you have to give some information. Okay, I will show you in the document that. Wait, see, we have to go to this link and we have to download the developer version. This is the one. Once it is downloaded, you try to install that developer edition. Okay, click on install. It shows you the wizard like this. Okay, we have screenshots. See, when you click on installation in the left side, see right side, new SQL standalone installation or add features to an existing installation. You have to click on it. Okay, once you click on it, it will start to install, and in the next wizard edition, you see here, you have to select. By default it selects developer version, no need to worry about it. If it is not there, you have to select a developer version. Okay, next you have to click on next. After that, you see here install rules. It shows you if there is anything wrong with the firewall, it shows you warning message like this. Okay, you need not worry about this. Okay, it will install anyhow. You have to click on next button. Okay, these are all the firewall settings and everything. Here in one more wizard, Azure extension for SQL Server, you see this is the wizard. Here Azure extension for SQL Server. If you have Azure account, if you know about it, okay, then you have to check this one. Okay, and also you have to give that information, Azure login information or service principal ID, everything, if you know about it. Okay, otherwise you have to unselect this one. You need not check this one. Okay, you leave it and click on next. Okay, click on select all button here. It selects all the features here. Okay, and click on next. Here it shows installation instance configuration here, default instance and a named instance. Default instance and a named instance. You see here by default, if it is first time installation, then it shows you default installation. Okay, you have to select that otherwise. Okay, so already if we have old version, then you have to give named instance. You have to give instance 2022, whatever it may be, whichever you like, you have to give that name here. Okay, so named instance, you have to select. Already if you have any other versions, you have to select named instance and you have to give that name, whichever name you want. Okay, otherwise if it is first time installation, then you have to select a default instance. Okay, now next, click on next. No need to change here anything. Next, database engine configuration. This is database engine configuration. Here, what you will do is, here it is showing Windows authentication mode, mixed mode, Windows authentication mode, mixed mode. What is in Windows authentication mode? If you select this one, you are the authorized or admin for your system, right? That means those who are authenticated users of the system, they can use SQL Server. That is Windows authentication mode. Otherwise, if it is mixed mode, that means SQL Server also have an authentication mode. That means it works for Windows authentication as well as SQL Server authentication. It is mixed mode. Okay, you select mixed mode. You can give current user details here. Once you click on that, you have to click next button. After that, it will install. See here, click on install button here, ready to install. See, installation is done. It is done. Okay, so after installing this SQL Server, your work is not done actually. We have to install one more software that is called SQL Server Management Studio. It's a tool, client tool. You have to install this one. Okay, so after installing SQL Server, you need to install SQL Server Management Studio, right? So again, you need to Google it. Okay, once you Google it, once you check that in Google, you get the link here. This is the link you get. Okay, you have to click on download SQL Server Management Studio SSMS. Okay, earlier it was 21.4.8. Now it is changed, I think. Okay, earlier version was 21.4.8. A few months ago, I installed this one. So I think it is changed now. Okay, you have to install the latest version of SQL Server Management Studio SSMS 21. Okay, so then that means what? You are installing SQL Server as well as SQL Server Management Studio, a client tool in your system. Okay, so with that, the installation part is done. Okay, it is done. I will share with you this document later. Okay, even you Google it in Google, if you type download SQL Server, you will get this link. You have to download developer version and you have to install that version in your system. Okay, now that is about installation. Now next part is SQL Server Configuration Manager. First one is SQL Server installation that we completed. Next one is SQL Server Configuration Manager. Okay, now let us see this. Okay, finally we install SQL Server in our system. Good. Now we have to configure, or we have to check this configuration. By default, everything is done. No need to worry. Let me say this. Okay. Now see here. You see here we have SQL Server 2022 Configuration Manager. Here it's a component. Okay. You click on it. Click on yes. See here, SQL Server Configuration Manager. What is this configuration? It is the configuration. It is used to communicate from client tool to server. That means we have to establish a communication between client application as well as SQL Server, right? So for that, to establish a connection between these two, we need a network protocol, right? See here it is showing. See, SQL Server Network Configuration. SQL Server Network Configuration. Okay. Here I have other installations also. You select protocols for SQL Server 2022. Protocols for SQL Server 2022. It is showing, see, right side, shared memory, named pipes, TCP IP, shared memory, named pipes, TCP IP. By default, this shared memory is enabled. It's a protocol. Okay. Named pipes and TCP IP, they are disabled. Okay. Each one has its importance. Let us see that first. Okay. In case if you don't get this software here, you can type it in what you call here file explorer. You have to type like this: C:/Windows slash okay, backward slash sys WOW64. That means Windows 32 on Windows 64. System SYSWOW64. That means Windows 32 on Windows 64. Okay. Again backward slash. Now SQL Server 16 MSC. See here, SQL Server Manager 16.msc. This is the one you have to click. Okay. I have two versions here. That's why it is showing two MSC files here. But this is the one you have to select. It is 2022. Okay. When you enter it, see, it opens the same. See, same has opened. SQL Server Configuration Manager. This is the one. Okay. So here we have to see every protocol here. Okay. This is the way how to open from C drive. Okay. Now let me open this file. Okay. Now SQL Server Configuration Manager. Under this, let me write this path also: C:, Windows sys WOW64. Okay. SQL Server Manager 16.msc. Okay, this you have to open. Okay, what is this? Here I showed you three protocols here to establish a connection between client and server. Shared memory, named pipes, TCP IP. What are these? Okay, now under SQL Server configuration, you will see SQL Server network configuration. Okay. Under this protocols you will see. Okay. What protocols we have? Shared memory. The next one is named pipes. And the third one is TCP IP. Okay. Now let us try to understand one by one. The first one is shared memory. Okay, what it is exactly? Okay. It is the simplest and fastest SQL Server communication protocol. Okay. It is the simplest and fastest SQL Server communication protocol. What it does, it allows local connections only. That means, what does it mean? Let me write. That means client and SQL Server must be on the same machine. That means client and SQL Server must be on the same machine. That's why it is fastest SQL Server communication protocol. Simplest and fastest SQL Server communication protocol. Server and client both are in our system. Okay. So in that case, we use shared memory. You need not select it. By default, it selects. Okay, you need not select it. It is by default enabled. Okay, by default, it is enabled. You see here, it is enabled. Okay, unnamed pipes TCP IP, they are disabled, right? Okay, now how it works? It uses the Windows shared memory RAM for communication between SQL server and the client application like SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, it uses Windows shared memory RAM for communication between SQL Server and client application like SSMS, because these two are in our system. These two are in our system. Then which mode is better? This is the ideal one, shared memory. Okay, in this case we use shared memory. Okay, now the second one is named pipes. Named pipes. What it is? Named pipes. Okay, right. It is for inter process communication. It is for inter process communication, local or intranet connections. Intranet connections. Okay, next, it uses a shared memory method between applications on the same machine or LAN network, intranet connection. Not internet, intranet connection. That means local in the sense in the same system, intranet in the sense in the company we have a local network. We can have local network. That means locally it works. Okay, for local, that means in the same system. Intranet in the sense in the organization we have a separate network. Okay, so in this case we use named pipes. It is for local as well as intranet, whereas shared memory, this is for local connection only. Okay, that means server and client must be in the same system. In named pipes, it is different. Local, it works for local as well as intranet connection, LAN. Okay, now the third one is TCP IP. That means transmission control protocol. Okay, transmission control protocol, internet protocol. Okay, I already said that it is a standard communication protocol. TCP IP is the standard communication protocol for most networked systems. Okay, that means it includes, let me write systems. It includes internet and both internet and LAN. Okay, internet and LAN. It works for both internet and LAN, whereas shared local, named pipes local and intranet. TCP IP internet and LAN. Okay, it supports, wait, SQL, one more point here. Okay, next point is SQL Server uses TCP IP for client server communication over IP addresses. and ports, IP addresses and ports. Okay. You know IP address, any answer? Okay. Wait. Next one is supports remote connections over networks or the internet. Example example is to connect with the production server. Okay. If the server is somewhere in a remote location, okay, but it has IP address, we must have an IP address na, for server also. It is like 142.160 like that. You may find this IP addresses. I think you know it. TCP/IP client and server on different machines. Yes, exactly. Okay, suppose server system is somewhere in a remote location. Okay, and you want to connect from your system. Client application is in your system, and you want to communicate with the server. Then you have to enter that IP address. Okay, so in that case, TCP/IP works. And TCP/IP is not only for internet; it works for intranet also. Okay, intranet also. See, internet and LANs. Okay, in both cases we can use TCP/IP, transmission control protocol. Okay, these are the three modes we use for establishing a connection between client and server. That is about SQL Server Configuration Manager. Okay, now let us see now how to connect with SQL Server. This is SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, see here, SQL Server Management Studio 21. You see, this is the client application, client tool. This is client tool. Okay, when you click on it, it opens. Okay, and you see connect. See the wizard connect. Okay, here we have several connections. Here it is showing server name, authentication, username, password, database name, encryption. Okay, many options are there. So after giving this information, valid information, we can connect with the server. Okay, but SQL Server and client application in my system only. Okay, so how to connect with SQL Server, that we will see now. Okay, now the next one is how to connect to SQL Server. How to connect to SQL Server. Okay, to connect to SQL Server, open SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, and enter the following details. Now let us see what details are there here. Server name. Let me write server name. Server name in the sense what? Computer name. Our computer name. Server name in the sense computer name. Okay. Computer name is the name of the server. That you have to enter. Okay. See, this is my name here. This is instance. SQL Server 2022 is the instance. Okay. This is computer name. My system's name it is. Okay. This is server name. Next one is authentication. You know how to see computer name? Okay, computer name. The same name you have to enter here. Okay, let me show you that. Right click, properties. This is the computer name. See, computer name. This you need to enter. Okay, Now, next option is authentication. Authentication. See, authentication. What is authentication? Authentication, in the sense, it is the process of identifying the user. It is the process of identifying the user. Okay. So here we have some options here. You see, SQL Server authentication, SQL Server authentication, Windows authentication, SQL Server authentication, Microsoft Entra password, Microsoft Entra integrated, Microsoft Entra MFA, okay, and Microsoft Entra managed identity, service principal, default. Many are there. Many options are there. Now we will see one by one here. Okay, we will see the use of each one. Okay, authentication. Now see, the first one is Windows authentication. Windows authentication. Windows authentication. Since the server is in my system itself, okay, so I can use my system now. So I am the authenticated user of my system. So whenever we select Windows authentication while installing, with the same authentication, with the same identity, we can log in into SQL Server. Okay, that means I'm only the person using my system, right? That means it is for single user. It is for single user because SQL Server is in my system and client application is also in my system. So I'm only the person using my system. In that case, we use Windows authentication. It is for single user. Okay. Next, SQL Server authentication. SQL Server authentication. It is for multiple users. Multiple users. Okay. Multiple users. How? See, we have many developers in companies, right? So working with SQL Server, in the sense of one person will not work. Many people, they work, right? So that means each developer will be given user ID and password. User ID and password. So everyone can log in into SQL Server with their access privileges. Okay, user ID and password. That is SQL Server authentication mode. If you select authentication mode, SQL Server, then multiple people, they can log in into SQL Server and they can work. Okay, that is the advantage of SQL Server authentication. It is for multiple users, mixed mode. We have to install SQL Server with mixed mode. Okay, now the important part next is Entra ID. See, Microsoft Entra password, Microsoft Entra integrated, Microsoft Entra MFA. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another 6 are there. See, first let us understand what is Microsoft Entra. Okay, now actually in earlier companies, they used to maintain server systems to maintain all the client systems. Suppose if company has 100 employees, okay, that means they have to provide 100 systems now. We call them as client systems. Okay, and to manage all these systems, they maintain a server system through which we can manage all the client systems. That means a system administrator, he used to create users, he used to create user ID and password to log in into their corresponding systems. Okay, to do this work, they used to have a component in server system called Active Directory. So it is a directory service in server system. So the SQL Server administrator, sorry, the system administrator, he used to create users and used to give user ID and password using Active Directory service. Okay, but later on, with the evolution of cloud technology, all the companies, they started using cloud technologies, and they started using the same kind of service in Azure also. In Azure also, we have the same kind of service. What is its name? Azure Active Directory. Azure Active Directory. Okay, so they used to use this Azure Active Directory in the cloud service. So with that, they can manage all the user ID and passwords. Okay, so the same concept, but it is there in cloud technology. But what happened in 2023? Microsoft renamed it as a Microsoft Entra ID. Azure Active Directory, whatever it is there earlier, the same service is changed now. Microsoft has renamed it, and its name is Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, so later 2023 they renamed it. Okay, what is this? Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, now let us see what it is exactly. Okay, actually, this Microsoft Entra ID, let me write here. Microsoft Entra is the Microsoft's identity and access management, that means IAM, okay, platform. Microsoft Entra is the Microsoft's identity and access management platform. Okay, and let me write point wise. It helps organizations securely manage who can log in or what they can access. Okay, what they can access, and also how they prove their identity. Okay, across all Microsoft and cloud services. It helps organizations securely manage who can log in, what they can access, and how they prove their identity. Okay, to log in into the system, we must have an identity. So that is the service in the cloud we have, and that is called as Entra ID. Entra ID. So it is a solution that helps organizations secure and manage identities in cloud and on-premises environments also. And the same works for cloud as well as in the on-premises environments also. Okay, so here we have authentication and authorization. Two things are there: authentication and authorization. Okay, now first let us see uh, authentication. That means authentication in the sense it is the process of identifying the user. Okay, and authorization means it is the process of giving access to or access privileges. Okay, privileges to the user once he is authenticated. Okay, so finally what it is saying, it is about authentication and authorization. What is authentication? It is the process of identifying the user. Authorization is the process of giving access privileges to the user once he is authenticated. That is the difference between authentication and authorization. Okay, finally, how it helps companies to prevent unauthorized access. Okay, and also we can use multi-factor authentication that we will see. Okay, and to secure both employees and external users. Okay, and it simplifies login functionality. Okay, now let us see one by one. Let me open this one. Where is this? Okay. See here, Microsoft Entra password, Microsoft Entra integrated, okay, up to Microsoft Entra default. Now we are going to see one by one. Okay, now see, this is the process here, server login. Okay, client network encryption authentication connected. Okay, this network we have seen, encryption we will see, authentication. Okay, just we will see one by one these things. Microsoft Entra. See, these are the options we have. Okay, now let us see one by one. What is the first one? Microsoft Entra password. Microsoft Entra password. Okay, actually, uh, it is a traditional password based login process. It is Entra password. That means we give user ID or email ID, okay, and password for cloud access. Okay, it takes user ID, username or email ID and password. That is Entra password authentication. Okay, Microsoft Entra password authentication. Okay, that means it is a basic authentication method using only a password. Only a password. That means single factor authentication. We call it as a single factor authentication. Single factor authentication. Okay, single factor authentication. We have to give username, email or password and password. Okay, so with password only we can log in. That means single factor authentication. Okay, that is about Microsoft Entra password. Next one is Microsoft Entra integrated. Microsoft Entra integrated. See here, it uses Windows or domain account to authenticate automatically. No need to re-enter credentials. That means it is an integrated authentication which connects our on-premises Windows login with the cloud Microsoft login, which connects both on-premises Windows login and also cloud Microsoft login. It connects both the things. That means integration, integrated authentication it is. Okay, so here one sign in for both Windows system as well as cloud technology, cloud applications, single sign on for both the things. Okay, that is Microsoft Entra integrated. Okay, Microsoft Entra integrated. Next one is Microsoft Entra MFA. MFA. Nowadays, everyone is using this one. Multi-factor authentication. Let me write. Multi-factor authentication. Okay, that means it uses OTP via SMS or email and Microsoft Authenticator application and biometric face and fingerprint. Okay, most of the people they use SMS, email, and few people they use Microsoft Authenticator app also. This we can install in our mobile for authentication. That is called Microsoft Entra MFA, multi-factor authentication. Okay, that means it adds an extra layer of security. It adds an extra layer of security when users sign in. That is called multi-factor authentication. Earlier one you see here, single factor authentication. Now, extra layer of authentication. That means you get OTP now. You get OTP and whenever you enter that OTP, then only you can log in. Okay, that is called multi-factor authentication. Okay, that means MFA, multi-factor in the sense what? MFA is password. Anyhow, you have to enter password and OTP. OTP or you can give fingerprint also. Fingerprint. Okay, this is extra layer of security. Password is same. You have to enter password and also OTP. That is called MFA. Okay, next. Microsoft Entra managed identity. Managed identity. Now see, first you see this Microsoft Service Principal. Later I will discuss about this. Okay, Microsoft Service Principal. It is for applications or automation scripts. It is for applications or automation scripts. Okay. Actually, this is a service principal is like a user account. This is like a user account for whom? Applications. See, for applications, okay, and services, automation scripts, not for human beings. This is not for humans, not for humans. This is for applications, okay, and services. This works for applications and automation. Okay, next, you see managed identity. Managed identity. Okay, it is also similar to principal only. Similar to principal, but automatically it creates and managed by, or it is managed by Azure. It is managed by Azure. That means here we don't have to set password. We don't have to set password here. Automatically it does that. Automatically it does. Here user ID is for applications and services. Here this is same, but Azure will create that user identity. Okay, that is the difference between managed identity and services principal. It is done by Azure. Okay, so suppose if our web application in Azure needs to connect to Azure SQL database, okay, so we can assign it a managed identity. We can assign a managed identity so it can log in securely without storing password in code. That is the advantage of managed identity, managed identity. Okay, and the services principle, it is not for humans. Okay, next, Microsoft Entra default. Microsoft Entra default. Okay, now actually this default, in the sense, actually when you create a Microsoft account, suppose if you try to log in into Azure, you have to create your account now. For the first time you have to register your account, right? So then this Microsoft Entra automatically creates a default directory. Default directory, that is exactly called as Microsoft Entra default. Okay, so when you register in Azure, then it creates a default directory, and that is called as a Microsoft Entra default. Okay, so whenever you sign up in Azure for the first time, whenever you give your information with your email ID, if you give, you will something like you will find like this. So suppose if I give my email ID, it will create something like this. Venkat Outlook dot on Microsoft.com. It creates like this. Okay, that means this is the default Entra, Microsoft Entra default. It creates this. Okay, so with this we can log in into all the applications or services. That is about Microsoft Entra default. Okay, now next one is these are the things we have. Authentication modes here. See, all are completed here. Okay, different authentication modes we have seen, and the next one is here we have this option. You see, encryption. See, user ID, anyhow you enter, password you enter. Okay, authentication mode you select that one. Next, encryption. It has three options. You see, mandatory, optional, strict. Okay, mandatory, optional, strict. We have three options. Okay, along with this you have, see, just observe this one, trust server certificate. It is checked by default. It is checked. Okay, let us see about these things. What are they exactly? Okay, see here. First, client, he uses network protocol now. So once it is protocol is used, it has to be encrypted to provide security. Okay, so once it is authenticated, that means authentication is done, then only it connects to the SQL server. That is the concept. Network I showed you. Now we are going to discuss about encryption. Authentication is also covered. Okay, now encryption. Now, when a client connects to SQL server, the connection can be protected using encryption. Okay, so that wait, so that others cannot see the data that are being sent over the network. Okay, that means we are protecting the connection. So when a client connects to SQL server, the connection can be protected by using encryption, so that others cannot see the data being sent over the network. Okay, you don't face any problem in your system, but in companies they maintain all these things to protect the connection. It is their responsibility. Okay, it uses SSL and TLS to encrypt the connection. Okay, SSL in the sense socket wait secure socket layer, and TLS in the sense transport layer security. SSL in the sense secure sockets layer, and TLS in the sense transport layer security. Okay, so actually these two are cryptographic protocols used to secure communication over a network. Okay, these are just cryptographic protocols. Okay, now let us see one by one. Here what types are we have here? Encryption, mandatory, optional, script. Encryption, we have first one is mandatory and strict, and the third one is optional. Okay, now before going to see these three, let us try to understand one more thing. Trust server certificate. Okay, see here I already showed you that. See, trust server certificate, it is selected by default. See, okay, actually it is the setting used when connecting to SQL server over a secure connection. It is a setting used when connecting to SQL server. It is an internal setting. Actually, it is internal setting. Okay, what it is exactly? Suppose if it is selected, that means true. If it is selected in the sense what? True. That means it has to skip the certificate validation. If it is selected, that means true. Okay, that means it skips the certificate validation. Okay, suppose if it is unselected, that means it is false. Internal setting it is. Okay, validates the certificate completely. Okay, it validates the certificate completely. Okay, so trust server certificate, it is an internal setting. When you select it, that means it is true internally. That skips the, we are saying that means it skips the certificate validation. Suppose it is unselected, not selected. Internally, what does it mean? False. That means it validates the certificate completely. Okay. Now come to these 3 points. Mandatory. Mandatory. Okay. What does it mean? Must use encryption. We are talking about encryption here. Okay. Must use encryption, but doesn't check certificate strictly. Okay, mandatory. Okay, that means must use encryption. Mandatory in the sense must use encryption, but doesn't check certificate strictly. That means no need to check certificate. No need to check certificate. Okay, even though you select this one or not selected this one, so when you select mandatory, that means it uses encryption, but it doesn't check certificate. It doesn't check certificate strictly. Okay, next, strict mode. Strict in the sense must use encryption and validate certificate properly. Validate certificate properly. Okay, so we are selecting strict means it has to encrypt. That means we are telling to encrypt the connection and also validate certificate properly. That means it has to be unselected. Then only it works. Strict mode. Strict. Okay. Next, optional. Optional is optional. That means it tries encryption if available. Otherwise simply leave it. It will leave. Okay, so no need to bother about it. It is just optional. Okay, when you select this one, it tries for encryption if available, otherwise it will leave. That is optional. Okay, so encryption has 3 options here: mandatory, strict, optional, and these are linked with the trust server certificate. If it is selected, it skips the certificate validation. If it is unselected, validates the certificate completely. Okay, and also along with that, you have to select any of these 3, right? So mandatory means must use encryption but doesn't bother about this certificate. Okay, and strict must use encryption and validate certificate properly. Optional is optional, tries for encryption if available, otherwise it won't do that. Okay, that is about encryption. Okay, let me underline this one. Okay, encryption. Next, what is the next option here? You see here, color is like for identifying the connection easily. That means in real time, you see we have development server, testing server, UAT, production server, different servers we use now. So whenever you select a color here, suppose if you select red, for production server, if you use color as red, so just by seeing this color, you can identify easily, okay, this is a production server. Okay, you may realize that by seeing that color. Okay, for green, okay, development server, blue, UAT, something orange, testing server, like that, you can identify easily. Okay, so internally they use all these things in the companies. You need not bother about this. But the thing is, if you understand these what you call connection properties, everything, it will be easy for you to work in the companies, and also particularly to work in your system, either Windows authentication or SQL Server authentication. You can use any one among these 2. Okay, now here I'm using SQL Server authentication. This is the username SA in the sense system admin. Okay, here SA or server admin. Okay, next password I entered. Okay, database name, no need to bother about this default. Okay, encryption mandatory, trust server certificate. Okay, I'm clicking on connect. See, it is connected. It is connected. Okay, and I'm trying to open databases list here. These are all created, already created databases. These are all created earlier. Okay, already created databases. Okay, now the whole thing is an environment, SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio environment. Okay, if you want to work with SQL Server, this is the tool you have to use to communicate with the server. Okay, just wait, it is opening the new query window. It is open, see. Okay, this is the complete environment. Here you will work. Okay, this is new query window. That means this query window is for writing queries, right? Left side you see this is Object Explorer. Object Explorer. These are all the see databases. This is one folder. Securities, server objects. Okay, everything you see, everything is there. Okay, this is about SSMS. Now let us create one database here. One second. Anything left here? No, no. Right. Okay. Now, so here now we are going to create a database. These are all already created database. Now we are going to create a database. Okay. Now, SQL Server, it works in the background that we cannot see, but we can work with it using SSMS. Okay. Suppose if you want to create a database, you have to right click like this on databases, see. Okay. And click on new database. Click on new database. Okay. Now you give a name here and click on OK button. It creates database. Okay. Let me test November. Click on OK button. See, database is created. Okay. It is created in server only, SQL server only, but through the client application, SQL Server Management Studio, we are doing all these things. Okay. So now database is created. See, it has all the related folders here. It is created automatically. Okay. Created automatically. See. So how it is performing all these things? It is performing all these things because here we have a system databases folder here. You see, system databases folder. Okay, under this system databases we have master, model, MSDB, tempdb. Four default system databases are there. Okay, first you understand, if you understand these system databases, then you will understand how it is working. Okay, it has created database, but how it is creating database, that you will understand. Okay, now let us try to understand first system databases. Okay, later we can create a database again, then we will see. Okay, now let us try to understand system databases. System databases. Okay, these are the default databases. That means whenever you install SQL Server in your system, automatically it creates default databases. Okay, and these default databases are master database, model database. Okay, and the next one is third one, MSDB and tempdb. MSDB and tempdb. Okay, These are the 4 databases, system databases. First one, master database, model, second database, third one, MSDB, fourth one is temp database. Now let us see one by one. Okay. Now, now actually this master database, it acts as the core control center of SQL Server. It acts as the core control center of SQL Server. Okay, that means it stores critical system level metadata. Critical system level metadata. Okay, and it contains, wait, it contains information about all databases, and login information. That means logins, system configuration. Okay, and also it contains physical file paths or locations, physical file paths, okay, etc. Okay, that means it is the core control center of SQL Server. It contains the complete information about all the databases, login information, system configuration information, and also physical file locations. Everything it stores. Okay, master database contains everything, right? So that's why, let me write here, it will be easy for you. The second point is, if in case if the master database file is corrupted, that means if it is corrupted, then SQL Server may fail to start, because because it depends on master for knowing what exists and how to start. Okay, that means it is a mandatory file to start SQL Server. Okay, if anything goes wrong with this file now, if it is corrupted, then SQL Server may fail to start because of its dependency on master. So that from this master database only it understands everything. It knows what exists and how to start. Okay, it is a mandatory file. So master database file is the key file here, key database. Okay, next, model database. Now see, the model database is a default template for creating new user databases. See, the model database is a default template for creating new user databases. See here, we created this database, test November. This is the one we created, user created database. How it is created? Because here model database we have now. So it takes, SQL Server takes this model database as a reference. It is a template database. So it takes model database as a reference and it will create a new database. Okay, it will create a new database based on model database. That means it is like a blueprint. It is like a blueprint. Okay, so here let me write, every time we create a new database, SQL Server copies the structure, settings and objects from the model database. Okay, so whenever we create a database here, we created, you see here, how it is created, tables, views, why, how it is creating all these folders, security folder, storage, everything it is there, because it is taking from model database. Okay, so every time we create a new database, SQL Server copies the structure, settings, and objects from the model database. Okay, that is the use of model database. Let me write a third point here. SQL Server uses the model as a blueprint, as a blueprint. That means it is like a template or a reference. Okay, so whenever you try to create a new database, immediately SQL Server refers this model database and creates the new database with the same structure. Okay, it copies from the model and also settings and objects from the model database. That is the advantage of having model database. Okay, next one is MSDB. MSDB. Okay, let me write here. The MSDB database is used primarily for automation, scheduling, and history tracking. Okay, it is mainly for automation and scheduling. Okay, it contains jobs, backups, okay, and alerts, and also maintenance plans. Okay, and also mainly it is used by SQL Server Agent. SQL Server Agent. Okay, it's a service for automating tasks. Okay, this I already told you, it is one of the components we discussed. See here, see here, SQL agent, see SQL Server Agent, automation. This is for automation. So how it works? It works based on this MSDB only. See, MSDB. This MSDB database is used mainly for automation, scheduling, and remaining things. Okay, it contains jobs, backups, alerts, maintenance. It used by SQL Server Agent. Okay, it is a service for automating tasks. Okay, so SQL Server Agent depends on MSDB. Okay, the next one is TempDB. What it is? TempDB. Okay, now see, the TempDB database provides temporary workspace for SQL Server. Okay, it provides the temporary workspace for SQL Server. Okay, now next point is it is used for storing temporary tables. Temporary tables is a concept that we will see in the subject. Okay, temporary tables, intermediate results, and sorting operations, and it automatically clears and resets every time SQL Server restarts. That means, so it provides temporary workspace. What is the use of having temporary workspace? There we can create a temporary tables to hold our data. Okay, for holding intermediate results, for sorting operations. Okay, SQL Server here, it has a temporary DB. It provides a temporary workspace for all these things. That is the use of temporary database, and it gets automatically cleared whenever we restart SQL Server. It gets automatically cleared whenever SQL Server is restarted. Okay, that is about TempDB. Okay, master database, model database, MSDB, TempDB. Okay, these are the 4 default databases. Understood? Okay, fine. Now, this is the database we have created. Let us go to the properties here. Wait, it is opening. See here. Okay. You click on files here. I clicked on files here. See, it is showing some information here. Logical name. Okay. And file group, size, auto, growth, file path. See here, file name with the extensions .mdf, master data file. This is master data file. And this .ldf, log data file. Okay, we have one more file .ndf. Okay, that we will create. Okay, these things we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, how to create a database and what kind of things are there to observe when we are creating a database. What is the use of each file here, .mdf file, what exactly it contains, and the log information. It will be stored in log file. What is the use of this log file and ndf file, and remaining collation and everything we will see tomorrow's class. Okay, let's stop here. Any doubts? Ishwar. Okay, welcome. Any doubts? No? Okay. Fine. Okay, we can continue this tomorrow. Okay, fine. No doubts. Okay, fine. That's good. Okay, let's stop now. See you tomorrow then.